Hungaroring in Hungary for today's practice session. This 4.3-kilometre track features a number of tight corners, which has been the scene of many memorable races. Let's hope we have another this weekend. Well, we're starting to get to the business end of the season now, as we're just past the halfway stage. We now know which teams have the best performance and which teams are playing catch-up.
At the moment, it's Red Bull's Sebastian Vettel who is leading the Drivers' Championship.
No, Anthony Davidson, I believe you are wrong. Last time I checked, I think Sebastian Vettel drives for Ferrari and not Red Bull.
One of the big talking points in the paddock ahead of today's race is the rumours that McLaren are talking to Valtteri Bottas about a race seat for next season. Can you see that happening?
Sometimes I wonder, who writes the script for this game? But anyway, hey, what's up? It is Dan, or DMan96 here, and welcome back to Sebastian's return to glory for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now with footage after what happened at the British Grand Prix. For those of you guys who don't know, you can go and check out my previous video of the British Grand Prix, where I talked about the race because I deleted the footage by mistake. We finished third in that race, and the championship gap between myself and Nico Rosberg has closed to 14 points. But we arrive at a track where it is very difficult to overtake, and Sebastian has struggled here in the past, and he would love a good result to go into the summer break and keep his lead over Nico Rosberg in the championship after the Mercedes driver closed it at the British Grand Prix with his win and Sebastian Vettel's third place. Also, if Rosberg wins the race, Sebastian needs to finish in the top 4 to keep his championship lead. Otherwise, Rosberg will be going into the summer break as the championship leader. So that's something that Sebastian needs to keep in mind for today's race. And now, it's time to move on to the qualifying reports. With the summer break approaching, the teams and drivers move on to the Hungaroring for round 10 of the World Championship. The sun shined all over the circuit as Q1 began. Manor occupy the back row yet again, with Will Stevens getting the better of teammate Roberto Merri. A miserable session for Lotus sees both cars out in Q1 in 16th and 17th position. For the second race running, both Red Bulls failed to make Q3, only just however in 11th and 12th. There were surprises all around the grid, but a huge one was Fernando Alonso, who put his underperformed McLaren in 10th, whilst teammate Jenson Button could only manage 15th. Sergio Perez continued his disappointing and so far pointless season down in 18th, whilst it was another Q3 result for Nico Hülkenberg, managing 9th. It was great news for Marcus Ericsson, who not only managed a season best result in 7th, but also outqualified teammate Nasser for the first time this season, as the Brazilian rookie was a miserable 14th. There are also big surprises down at Toro Rosso, as Carlos Sainz also collected the season best qualifying result in a shocking 6th place, whilst teammate Verstappen starts down in 13th. Valtteri Bottas got the better of teammate Felipe Massa yet again, with the Williams drivers managing 4th and 5th respectively. It was a mixed session for Sebastian Vettel. On one hand, he was happy with his P3 start, but he felt that he could have done much better than a second off the pole time, whilst teammate Kimi Räikkönen struggled to 8th. This left the front row to be locked out by Mercedes, with Lewis Hamilton taking the top spot from teammate Nico Rosberg. Could this be the chance for Nico to make gains in Vettel's championship lead?
Welcome to the Hungaroring here in Hungary, a track that opened back in 1986 and has witnessed some very memorable races. Let's hope we're here to see another classic today. We knew this was a track that suited the Mercedes well, but no one would have expected that Lewis Hamilton would have created such a gap to his rivals in qualifying. If he stays out of trouble and the car continues to perform, well, victory should surely be a formality.
He'll want to stay out of trouble over the first few laps, but he'll be determined not to let any cars past him. If he can maintain that position once everything's settled down, he'll have a massive advantage and be able to control the race.
The last Grand Prix saw Mercedes post their best performance of the year. They had a really strong outing and we'll be hoping for more of the same today.
Both drivers looked really happy with how the car performed all weekend. This is a different track with different demands though, and I think they won't find it easy to repeat that result here today.
So here we are on the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix. In third position after a brilliant qualifying from Sebastian. He'll be doing a 2-stop strategy for today's race, but tyre wear will be a key thing for this race. But as the lights illuminate above the drivers, I'm going to go out. We're racing at the Hungaroring. Mercedes getting off to a good start. Sebastian getting off to a very slow start. Both, I think that's Felipe Massa coming down the order as well as Valtteri Bottas moves into third position, but both Mercedes lead as we go into turn 1. Sebastian Vettel almost losing position to Felipe Massa. Exiting turn 1 now, and now Sebastian alongside the Williams driver going into turn 2. Valtteri Bottas has had a fantastic start. He's moved up to third position as we now go into turn 2, and Vettel holds on to Felipe Massa. Marcus Ericsson is also going to go up the inside of the Sauber driver, and a poor start there for Felipe Massa, forced wide and drops down to 6th position, but Marcus Ericsson up to 5th already from 7th on the grid. Fantastic start there for the Sauber driver. Sebastian Vettel now chases in on Valtteri Bottas as the field moves towards the middle sector of the track. Skipping on to lap 3 now, not much happened in the open few laps. This is actually quite a dull race, to be quite honest with you, as we close in on Valtteri Bottas. Now Sebastian Vettel stuck behind the Williams driver here, and obviously Hungary being a very difficult track to overtake on, this might take a while for Sebastian to move up into third position. As you can see, the two Mercedes drivers really pulling away now, really making a gap against these two. And as we go on to lap 5, a collision warning there for Sebastian Vettel, tapping the back of Valtteri Bottas at the exit of that corner. As we go onto the main straight now, Sebastian Vettel will have the DRS, but it's not really going to make much of an impact really. He's not closing in at all. So Valtteri Bottas at Williams has brilliant straight line speed in comparison to the Ferrari. As we move on now to the end of Sector 1, where Sebastian Vettel has been closing in on Valtteri Bottas. He's 6 tenths behind the Williams driver, and he's thinking about having a go going into this chicane. It'll be a very good chance. There's very little overtaking opportunities here at this track, and he's actually managed to find one, and he's passed Valtteri Bottas. He moves into third position. Bottas a slight twitch there at the exit back corner, but Sebastian Vettel takes the position as we move on now to the battle at the front. Lewis Hamilton leads the Grand Prix with Nico Rosberg with DRS, and the slipstream as well moves up to the inside line, and that is crucial for the championship as Nico Rosberg takes the lead of the race. And as it stands, Nico Rosberg will close the gap to 4 points between himself and Sebastian Vettel in the Drivers' Championship if the result stays like this. But Sebastian Vettel now on lap 10 is really suffering with tyre wear. He's going to have to pit now for another set of option tyres and the first of his 2-stop strategy. But Valtteri Bottas goes round the track once again. He now takes third position, but he also has to pit as well. Let's hope that Sebastian Vettel can keep his position now as he goes into the pits. I think he's one of the only drivers to pit on this lap, but I also know that there's a massive train being held up by Marcus Ericsson behind, so he's got to try and rejoin ahead of that, otherwise that's going to cost him quite a bit of time. As you see there, a massive train goes straight past him, and he's rejoining 10th position behind Fernando Alonso in the McLaren Honda, who's having a brilliant race. He had a brilliant qualifying as well. As we move on now to the chicane again, this is where Vettel passed Bottas. Is going to do the same thing on Alonso, and Vettel now moves into 9th position. So Sebastian Vettel moving to 9th. He also passed Daniel Ricciardo later on in that lap as well. But here's where everyone pits. Marcus Ericsson leading the train for 4th position, and he pits in now, as does the rest of that train. But now we're going on board with Marcus Ericsson, who actually takes the pit stop. He's going to fit another set of the option tyres on, but that's really not gone well for him, and everyone else drives past him, and Marcus Ericsson drops to 9th position. A massive shame there for the Swedish driver, as he would have scored some brilliant points there for the team. But now moving on to lap 12, Sebastian Vettel has passed Valtteri Bottas for 3rd position after the Finn had come in for his pit stop. Lewis Hamilton is still in 2nd. He's only a couple of seconds ahead of Sebastian actually, so 2nd place could still be a possibility if Sebastian keeps pushing, of course. But we all know that Sebastian has struggled around this track before, and the tyre wear around this track as well is also a key factor for this race. As Sebastian Vettel has lost a lot of time there to Lewis Hamilton. He's 9 seconds down, and it's not helping now. Valtteri Bottas is really putting the pressure for the Ferrari driver, and the tyre wear, as you see there on that graphic on the right hand side of the screen, is really showing that tyre wear can be a big factor for this race, and it really is showing. As Sebastian Vettel really suffering for tyre wear now, and Valtteri Bottas has really closed into the back of the Ferrari driver. He's 4 tenths behind, and he has DRS advantage going down the straight. He's going to have a look at the inside line. Vettel holding on from the outside into turn 1. Sebastian Vettel keeping 3rd position. Bottas will also have DRS going on the run down to turn 2. Very wide there for Sebastian Vettel, and Bottas has to look around the outside. Vettel trying to hold on as we move into the inside line now. He goes very wide at the exit, and he keeps the position. Bottas stays behind. Bottas still not giving up. He tries on the outside, no, but Vettel just holds on to position, and he needs to think about pitting very soon, as he will do now on lap 20 of this Grand Prix for his prime stint, as Valtteri Bottas goes around once again to continue into 3rd position. But Sebastian Vettel's also got to keep an eye out for the cars behind as well, but he's also got to focus on trying to get ahead of Valtteri Bottas. And obviously we know how quick the Williams can be around this track, So Sebastian really needs to have a good stint on the prime tyres. He exits the pits now. I don't know where Daniel Ricciardo is, but I think he's going to rejoin ahead of a Red Bull driver as he goes down the pit straight now. But there is actually the Red Bull driver, and that's Kimi Räikkönen as well, so he's rejoined behind those two. Obviously, those two still have yet to pit, so it's not really much of a loss there for Sebastian. And he could still get third position. He tried an undercut here as we go on to start finish straight on lap 23. There is Valtteri Bottas just coming out of the pits, and Vettel rejoins just ahead of a Williams driver. That's sort of not what he wanted, because now Bottas is still right behind him. Not really good at all, but now Sebastian really needs to push now if he wants any chance of securing the podium here. But we all know how quick the Williams is round this track, and Valtteri Bottas is closing as we go into turn 1. Vettel going quite wide into turn 1. Bottas had a little look at the inside, and I think Bottas will have a DRS as well on the straight. And no, he's too far back to even make a pass now. So we've gone to lap 26. There is Bottas making a move and taking third position at the Grand Prix. Vettel trying to hold on around the outside. Bottas keeping it on the inside, and Bottas will have a DRS as well for this straight. So that's a big advantage of Bottas. A little bit of contact there for the two. As we go into turn 2 now, Vettel trying to hold on around the inside, but it looks like Bottas has actually got the position. And Bottas will now take third. But now going into turn 3, and Vettel trying to hold on. And he goes slightly wide. He's taking the position. Well, that could be something that the stewards are looking at. A very interesting move from Sebastian over to off the track. I don't think it's going to matter too much though, so we move on to lap 27 now. Bottas will have DRS once again. I think this time he's going to try and make a move, and it looks like he's going to make it around the outside as we go into turn 1. And this time Bottas has made the move for a third place stint. There's nothing that Sebastian Vettel will be able to do about that. His tyres have just been, well, really going off now. He's been struggling throughout the past few laps. He tried to catch up to back about Valtteri Bottas as we go into the final few corners of this lap now. The two Mercedes drivers have pulled away, and that is actually crucial that Bottas has taken third, because it means that Nico Rosberg will now close the title fight to 1 point if he wins this Grand Prix and Sebastian Vettel stays in 4th position. So it means now that this title fight is now on after the summer break, as Sebastian Vettel is really struggling with these tyres now on lap 30 of the Grand Prix, and even Will Stevens behind him, one of the back markers, I believe he has DRS on Sebastian. It's going to be an absolute embarrassment if he's overtaken by a manner. And oh my god, Will Stevens goes up the inside and he tries to make a move on Sebastian Vettel. He's trying to unlap himself from Vettel. That's how slow Sebastian is. He's not had the best of races here. The tyre wear really kicking in, but Vettel just holds on to Stevens, and Stevens stays as a lapped car from Sebastian Vettel. So move on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. But one other driver that has been giving Sebastian all sorts of pressure is Kimi Räikkönen, who's been closing over these past few laps. Now he's only 2.2 seconds behind, but it looks like Sebastian Vettel is going to hold on to 4th position, because if he did, it would mean that this man in the Mercedes will take the lead of the Drivers' Championship. But Nico Rosberg will cross the line and close the Drivers' Championship gap to 1 point in the standings as the field moves on to the historic Spa-Francorchamps circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix next time out. And that is where Sebastian Vettel will be looking to get a better result than here as he crosses the line to finish in a disappointing 4th place. There he is in Parc Ferme, really not looking too pleased about this result. But he's got to hope for better things as the field does move to Belgium next time out. And he'll be wanting to beat Nico Rosberg and extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship. But the full race results are on your screen right now, and it's another Mercedes 1-2 for the 2nd consecutive race. Valtteri Bottas finishes in 3rd with disappointed Sebastian Vettel 4th, and Räikkönen, Ricciardo, Massa, Sainz, Kvyat and Fernando Alonso rounding out the points. Marcus Ericsson finishing down 13th. He looks good for points today, but a shame that he couldn't score any. As we look at the Drivers' Championship now, Sebastian Vettel now leads Nico Rosberg by 1 point. As mentioned earlier, Lewis Hamilton is pulling away from Valtteri Bottas, with Daniel Ricciardo and Kimi Räikkönen behind as well, and Felipe Massa moving up to 7th. Not much change in the Drivers' Championship standings, but looking at the Constructors' Championship, as we move on to the summer break now, Mercedes now have a massive 65-point lead over Ferrari, with Williams and Red Bull following close behind. No change in the Constructors' Championship. But I hope you enjoyed today's race, guys, and now it's time for the podium. So Nico Rosberg wins in Hungary, and it's a 1-2 for Mercedes. Brilliant news for them as they go into the summer break just before the Belgian Grand Prix in 4 weeks' time. But I'd like to thank you guys all for watching this video. If you have, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until next time, guys, it's been DMan96, and I'll see you guys in Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix.